You know, I'll answer your question, but I'll say up front for SDS operations, I'd refer you to them. But I can tell you from what I've seen, two separate things. You've got HTS rather, operating up near Aleppo, moving southwards toward Hama. This group is essentially a spinoff of al-Nusra Front, which was an al-Qaeda spinoff. And so, again, a recognized terrorist group and part of the morass, so to speak, of many different groups that have been fighting the Assad regime for several years now. The SDF, of course, do have personnel that are up in that area of northwest Syria, but predominantly down in eastern and northeastern Syria. Our focus has been on working with the SDF rather as it relates to countering ISIS, and that continues to be our focus.
Just want to ask, what kind of coordination is taking place between the U.S. and SDF as it pertains to potentially taking over these areas that were previously under the control of either the Syrian government or Iranian-backed militias?
Yeah, as I mentioned to Jennifer, I'd refer you to the SDF to talk about their operations. Joseph, MSS Euphrates is, of course, down in that region, and our focus is on protecting our forces and also preserving our efforts to conduct counter-ISIS operations in partnership with the SDF. But in terms of anything that the SDF is doing, I'd refer you to them.
And when we talk about notifications as well in Syria, has the Syrian Democratic Forces, have they notified the U.S. of their plans with regards to the scenario that's playing out right now in Syria?
Look, you know, we obviously consult closely with the SDF. Our focus in working with the SDF, of course, is the counter-ISIS mission, the enduring defeat of ISIS, and I'll just leave it there.
To clarify a little bit, because that wasn't really a yes or no. So unless it's ISIS that is attacking the SDF, are they still under your protection? That would you say that would come to their defense? Like that's what I'm trying to get at, really.
Yeah, I mean, as we work together to counter ISIS, we have come to the aid of SDF. You know, obviously, again, we're working together. We're partners in that. But if the question is, are we going to look at opportunities elsewhere outside of that mission set, you know, we obviously have to remember why we're there and what we remain focused on. Again, we very much value the partnership that we have with the SDF. Our forces have fought alongside each other and bled alongside each other, but our focus in Syria remains the defeat ISIS mission, and that will continue to be our focus.
If HTS decides to go after SDF forces in Manbij, what would be your position, to be more specific?
Yeah, so I don't want to get into hypotheticals. I appreciate the question. But, you know, look, again, I'm not going to speak for the SDF. I'm not their spokesperson. Clearly, they've been operating in a very dangerous neighborhood for a very long time. And as you highlight, there are many groups that are fighting in Syria, to include HTS. And so, again, the SDF have proven themselves to be very effective on the battlefield. But again, I'm not going to speak for them or get into hypotheticals about, you know, what ifs. Take a few more. Yes, sir.
Thank you, General. Two questions. Multiple human abuses have been reported and carried out by the HTS and SNA. Are you in a position to take any action against these groups?
Well, look, you know, the U.S. presence in Syria is focused on the defeat ISIS mission. I can't be any more clear than that. We certainly are aware that HTS is a terrorist group, but the United States is not actively involved, nor do we seek to actively get involved in the civil war that has been occurring in Syria for years. And I'll just leave it there.